I think it's LOV. It's underneath my skin.
So I guess it would be a good idea to just start with like how you guys met and started playing together.
Who wants the reins?
So Grace and I met the first time I ever saw Grace. She was wearing a gorilla suit, and that genuinely wearing a gorilla suit. She was in a play with a mutual friend, and I went to support the friend, and then met Grace afterwards. We got talking about music and stuff. But in the play, she was in this gorilla suit. So that was my first experience with Grace. And then I saw that show, got talking to her afterwards. I was looking to do a music project, but then we started working together for a little bit. And then we knew something was, a bit of drilling. I don't know where that is.
It's the fan in my laptop.
Is it?
Yeah, and I can't do anything about it, but it just is really loud. And every time I do a Zoom call, everyone's like, it sounds like a tractor is running.
We're going to have to start again, or at least reschedule.
I'm sorry.
It's just going to happen next time.
No,
I'm so sorry. I don't know. I need a new laptop, I think.
Yeah.
Mine does the exact same thing.
Yeah. So we met doing that, and then a couple of months in, we knew that we were missing something. So we put out a post and got sent some videos. I think Ritu contacted us after we put out this post, and then we got a few people that had messaged us. But as soon as we saw Ritu and her video, we were like, she is the person we want to work with. And it was just really fortunate. Like, basically, we were like, we only want to work with her, so let's just do that. Yeah. And it was just something about it. Your playing was like really unique and kind of cool and understated, and just it was very different from anything else. And then we all met up for a drink, and kind of all three of us hit it off. And it was like, oh man, this shouldn't be so easy. Like, we just kind of got on very quickly, and it's always just been very relaxed and very supportive. And I think that's something we try to continue doing, is just supporting each other's work, whether that's in the band or outside of the band. And so it's just like a little gang, really.
Was it kind of nerve-wracking for you, Ritu, to kind of go into it with an already established group, or did you find that you meshed well, like, immediately?
Yeah, it felt really fun right away. I remember we went for some drinks, and I think, it was like Major Lazer or Rihanna or some big pop artist was playing, and Adam was like, "This is a tune," and I was like, "Easy." It's like very unpretentious and just like fun, you know.
Yeah. No, it was good. I mean, we'd only just sort of, we hadn't kind of gigged or anything, so the band kind of only felt fully formed, I think, when Ritu was in it, and that's when it felt like it was a complete unit. So we were never kind of operating as like a duo. We sometimes write together and stuff, but until when it was I'm glad we've still got a name that we like, because we had some really bad ones.
What were some of the bad ones?
Well, I think me and Adam had a name, I think, when it was just the two of us, which we were called Moon Circus, which I quite like, but Ritu is not. I'm so happy that didn't stick, but it didn't feel right when she joined. And then I think we just had a big list of names, and Kim was like the one that I think...
I feel like we were a lot more diplomatic at the beginning when we would speak to each other. So I was like, I'm not so sure about that one. Like, what about these other ideas? And now it's like, no, veto, move on. Like, it's like,
terrible. No.
bullshit.
Yeah.
What do you think of this new piece of music? Nah, shit. No. Crack on.
How has quarantine been for like songwriting and recording and everything?
I suppose we've just had to change the way that we sort of operate. So I think before it usually was that it's a nice bean van.
Yeah.
Can you hear it? Ice cream. It's too cold for ice cream over here in England. Anyway, sorry. So before we were kind of, the way that we'd usually start was someone would come in with the kind of an idea, like maybe Adam would write a guitar riff, or I'd have put down a little chord progression and then kind of write a few lyrics over the top of it, and then we'd bring it into the room, and then that's when it would become like fully formed and kind of that collaboration of us all each writing our kind of independent parts and then bringing it together and then playing with it in the room. And I suppose now it's just become, I mean, we haven't seen Ritu physically at all, like since before time began. Like, I
Hey,
don't know what time we physically saw you.
when we recorded?
In fact,
It
yeah, it
was-
might have been.
No, it was before the new year, before I came to Atlanta. Yeah, it was,
Was
I
it-
think last November.
No, because we recorded in
In
January.
January. We only recorded this.
Oh, it was then.
This is January.
January.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah,
We made it
and
a lot
me
of
and me and Adam spent a lot of lockdown separated. I went back home to Sheffield for a bit, and so we only really met up in kind of the past month. So now it's just kind of finding this new way of me and Adam sort of writing some bits together or separately, and then bringing them back into the space with us two. And then it's just a lot of virtual stuff, like sending things over to Ritu, who now has a super cool kit, so she can kind of write there.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I'm
That's
blessed. Like,
awesome.
Richie's been traveling with that, so she's been going from place to place with the kit. It's like you put it in a suitcase, don't you?
Yep.
Yep.
That's incredible.
So yeah, so then it's just become a case of kind of sending things back and forth, really, and kind of
I think
writing.
we're getting better. I think having to do it remotely, we've not relied, because a lot of the original stuff is kind of, we would all get in a room together, have an idea, but then like jam it out for a bit and then find the song. But now I think our recording of demos and stuff has got a lot better. Like we record to click and stuff like that. So that's been really helpful. So that when Ritu gets it, because originally we just send you tracks that had just been recorded on my phone. And I think it was really hard for you because it would go, the timing would go all over the place. And now we're starting to do demos and stuff to a click. So when we send it to Ritu for when she writes all the drum parts, I think it's hopefully the process is going to become easier and we can work remotely. So it's not a bad skill that I think we've developed.
Right.
Yeah. Obviously, it would have been nice to have done that without the global pandemic, but silver linings.
And you guys have been in the studio pretty recently, at least when you did the Instagram takeover, you were in the studio. So I was wondering if you could hint to any sort of like soundscape or like themes that you're writing about with the new stuff that's coming out.
I
Ooh,
mean,
that's a good question. Okay.
I suppose the two songs that actually we've been working on recently are actually quite old songs. But yeah, I suppose they both are kind of love songs, I suppose, I think, with these ones. But love songs with a twist, maybe? I would say actually the new material that we're writing now, which is not what's in the studio at the moment, has got a slightly different edge because these are slightly older. Yeah, we're evolving it. I don't know, they were written in a slightly different world, really, like in a happier kind of strange time. So love songs, and kind of what comes with relationships with one another and stuff has obviously changed a huge amount recently. Mm-hmm. And I think that the songs are reflective of that in terms of the ones that we're definitely working on like now, I think are more to do with the sort of political climate that we're in, and also like still about relationships with people, but maybe more so to do with the isolation that you feel with that has kind of come naturally, or less kind of just happy. I don't know, almost like it feels a bit like now just writing a standard love song is kind of like, it's that like there's more to everything that's going on at the moment than just that. So
right.
Because yeah, the reason that we're recording these ones was that there were two songs that we always play live, and one of them particularly was like instantly our favourites when we played it live.
It's a bit of a banger. It's a bit of a tune.
Yeah,
I can't wait to hear it actually.
And I think as well, like everybody needs a bit of that kind of energy at the moment. So actually reverting back to kind of more traditional sort of love songs and stuff is not necessarily a bad thing, because people need that.
Yeah, but we recorded 3 singles in January, so we've got one more that's, I think we can say the date now, can we? Can we say when it's coming out? So 19th, is it 19th November? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have a new single coming out on the 19th of November.
Nice.
So we're just about to start like filming bits of a video for that, and that's gonna be exciting again remotely, but
Mhm.
Grace has put together like a really beautiful narrative, and it's quite a different song to what we've released already. I think again it's very different from the two that we've had out, but I think it's a really special, quite beautiful song. Starts off very simple, and by the end it feels quite epic. So I'm really interested to see how people feel about it, and it will be a good test, I think, between the three singles, kind of what people enjoy, and maybe that will influence what we record moving forward. But yeah, I feel like our songwriting is getting better though. I feel like every time we come to do it, the parts get more interesting. It's kind of more exciting, and I think we've got a lot more to come, like musically. I feel like we're only just getting started.
Yeah, I think we're definitely getting more of a feel of our sound for sure.
Mhm.
It's all just like, yeah, just learning from the experience and moving forward from there.
Yeah.
And with your music videos, the video for LOVE had like a pseudo kind of kin fest. So if you guys had your own like real life kin fest, imagine like a 3-day festival for each of you, who would be like your nightly headliners.
Okay, so all of us are going to pick three,
Mhm.
or like, okay. I would have Janelle Monáe, Kay Tempest, I think, and it's only people that are physically possible. Can I bring people back? Oh,
Dead or alive.
Kate Bush.
That's a good one.
She'd close it. I feel like that would be a spiritual experience.
I've recently got massively into Doja Cat.
Okay.
But I don't know. I think I'd still
Mate.
want to have like Beyonce like headlining, you know.
Oh, that's a great shout. You can't
Well,
top it.
I picked them, so you picked them. Can't go wrong. I mean, who else? I'd want like a really fun electronic artist like Quartet one night. And then something in between. Oh, I don't know, the third one. I mean, I always fall back on Charlie XCX. She's my fave. So
As you should, yeah.
Yeah, her new album, we've all been talking about that. That's a really great record.
I think I'm just going by bands that I've seen before that I really like would want to see again. I think. I mean, I mean, Kate Bush is great, who I've never seen, but I saw Blood Orange, incredible. Like, and such a party, like the live sax and everything, just really like wore the house down. So I think that would be great for a festival.
He's so talented.
Bon Iver as well, who I love, and I could just probably listen to ever. So just like a day of like 1 p.m. Bon Iver, 2 p.m. Bon Iver, just up until like be happy. And I'm pretty sure that he has enough songs that he could get through like the whole day.
Absolutely.
I think it's pronounced Bon Iver.
It is, but I don't want to be that person that calls it Bon Iver.
I don't want to say it correctly.
I want to say it in the Yorkshire English way that it is Bon Iver. So
I mean, he might not want to work with
every time
us.
he's on
Keep calling him
stage,
that.
he does it differently. Sometimes he's like, I'm called Bon Iver, and sometimes he's like, I'm Bon Iver.
Oh, that's allowed then.
Yeah. And I think also I would have someone classic indie, probably like The Cure or like Arctic Monkeys, just because.
Arctic Monkeys would be fun.
Monkeys would be really fun, yeah.
Yeah. Beyonce's great shout. I saw Foles last year as well, and they put on they just put on a banging, like, it's such a great rock show. It gets messy. Everybody gets really into it, but it's all very friendly and like very British, but people are moshing, but it's all very like, oh, sorry, did I knock you? I spill your drink, but still kind of going for it. But yeah.
What do you think for each of you has been your favorite concert, like, of all time?
To play or to go to?
To go to, or to, why not both?
Okay. I can go. So mine was Janelle Monáe last year at Glastonbury.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know loads of her music. I knew a few of her songs, and she was playing West Hold Stage at Glastonbury, and it was a toss-up between her and The Cure. But my girlfriend was really keen to see Janelle Monáe, so I was like, let's do it. Let's go and let's see it. And it was like fully cried during that gig. I think it was the first time I cried. She was just amazing and so powerful. And also it was like the most rock and roll set I saw the whole weekend. Like she was just one song, she just like came into the audience, she started taking all her clothes off, she like rubbing mud on her face, and then she comes back up on stage and she just looks in the camera and she's like, what you've just seen here, you will never fucking see again. And you're just like, oh my God. She was just amazing, and everything she stands for. She had like, her whole band was black female artists, and it was just the musicians she had, which is incredible. And it was as close as you could get to like a spiritual experience. So yeah, Janelle Monáe, Glastonbury 2019 for sure.
For me, I mean, I think I'm just remembering, I have so many amazing gigs, but I saw the Flaming Lips at Festival like years and years ago, but that was like epic, like in terms of like an out of body experience.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
They put on a great show, didn't they? I've not seen them, but
So
you
good.
come out in the audience in like a Zorb or something.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Maybe Grace needs to get you in a Zorb.
I don't know. I don't want to keep going on about. I don't want to just be like going on about Bon Iver again. But I did. I've seen him twice now, and the first time was really good. But the second time, I managed to get free tickets because there was a festival in London that he was playing, and they obviously hadn't sold it very well, so they were giving away free tickets. And my sister was going through a bit of a rough time, like breakup thing. So basically, I got like he is like her favorite. So I basically was like, oh, I've got these free tickets, we should go. And it was a great gig, and he was amazing, but not just for that. It was also like the look on her face when he played Skinny Love, which he hadn't played like last time we'd seen him.
Mm-hmm.
It's just such a classic. And I just looked over at her, and that was like what I think also makes gig experiences is not just the music, but it's like the experience and who you're with. And I just looked at her, and I like won't ever forget her face of just being so like there and like so like excited about it, and like just she just came to life. So I think like that is just one of those like very special like gig moments for sure.
She did the artwork. Grace's sister did the artwork for our 2 singles.
Oh wow.
Ella D'Souza.
So would you say you guys all come from like artistic families?
No.
No.
Yeah. Risty, what's do you at all? Is there anybody in your family that?
Not really. They're quite academic. My little brother's now going to drama school, so he's taking after me. But yeah, I was like, I think the first person to play an instrument.
Did you get a drum kit? Because you got a drum kit when you were quite young, didn't you? You asked one.
Parents used why I wanted that, and then they made me have it in the garage, and the garage door, like if it closed, you'd be locked in the garage, and that was just like my teenage years. It was annoying.
What made you want to pick the drums though? Like, did it just speak to you? Did you just go, that's the instrument?
I mean, it's the coolest instrument, isn't it?
I tried playing piano when I was little, and then I remember like playing a really sad song, and it just made me so upset that I was like, I can't play this instrument. I can't play piano
Really?
so quick because it made me so upset.
Really sweet. That's really sweet.
And then yeah, years went by, and I don't know, just into beats, you know, into the rhythm.
It is the business. It is like, yeah, it is so great. Drums. My family is fairly, just going back to your question before, is fairly creative. So my granddad's a painter, and my uncle is a musician and an actor, and then my grandma as well. She's always been interested in the arts and theatre and stuff. So it never felt like a kind of sub-career choice, you know, like it felt like a kind of very, it didn't feel like a kind of lesser choice to do that over perhaps something more of a kind of career job, you know. Mm-hmm. It was always considered highly. So it wasn't, I never kind of got any like, are you sure that's what you want to do? I mean, everyone was very straightforward about it though, being like, it is obviously the arts is really hard. And I think it is important to identify that, and it's very easy to romanticize it, but it's really difficult, you know, to be creative and to make a living from that is tricky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think my parents, my family have always been really open and really really love the arts. So my mum runs a book festival, and my dad was always a band, even though he can't sing, when he was younger. So I think
Would he sing? Would he be the lead singer?
So I've got a funny story about my dad, was that he went to Coventry Uni, and he actually was at uni with what became the Specials, and he was
What?
as the front man, but he cannot sing, like really cannot sing. So he obviously got thrown out of that band because he couldn't sing. And
So
then
your dad got thrown out of the Specials?
they were like, they then became
What became that?
yeah. If you read, there's a I think a biography or an autobiography about the Specials. So yeah, Tim Strickland, he's in there somewhere. He can't sing. He's like he's very sorry, Dad, if you watch this. He's like,
I love you. But has he got maybe he's very charismatic, so he could like.
I mean, sure. I can't really imagine him being on stage.
I'm trying to give you a
He's been into his music. He's definitely loved all of that, and obviously my sister's an illustrator, so yeah, there are kind of bits.
Your mum works in books, doesn't she? She
runs a book festival in Sheffield.
Yeah. Which I feel is that's really cool. The Specials. So here's a fun fact linking to the Specials. I between the ages of like 6 and 16, I think, we lived in Terry Hall, who was the lead singer of the Specials house, and my sister's student who I was doing. So that's where we lived. But I think when we moved in, I was too young to really process it. But that was near Coventry. That was in the Midlands. So yeah.
I want to stay in this real life together.
I did a deep dive research on you guys, and by deep dive research I mean I googled your names and Britain after, and then I saw it came up. So Grace, okay. Your website says that you are a performance maker, and I have no idea what that means, and I would love to know what that means for you.
Yeah, so everyone was like, what is that? I suppose, so it's a bit like a theatre maker. Like, I've got my own theatre collective called Climb Blue, and we make performance work. But the reason we call it performance work is that it borderlines on theatre a lot of the time, but it can also blend other means. So like live art, or like little bits of film, or kind of music or whatever integrated into it. So the show that actually Adam came to watch when we met was one of the shows that we'd done, and that was like a spoken word show as well as kind of a theatre show. So it blended, I suppose, the boundaries of what like theatre can be, and I suppose performance as a whole, it kind of can encapsulate a lot of different things. So that's why I go by performance maker rather than theatre maker, because I'm not just like a theatre actor or a theatre director. A lot of the stuff that I do is kind of, I suppose, slightly more flowing in form than that. So kind of blending on theatre and live art is usually the easiest way to put it.
I feel like you have lots of skills that you, like, I wouldn't be able to call myself that, because I feel like you are good at kind of like directing and writing and devising and producing and working on, so I actually feel that term does encapsulate a lot of the stuff you do.
I suppose a lot of the work that I make, it like often is written or co-written with me and someone else, and co-directed with us. So we make it, we'll go into a rehearsal room, we'll make it, and then we'll kind of do it all ourselves. And we will sometimes work with other people, like producers and directors, like to put it, out there. But a lot of it comes kind of, like you said, it's a collaborative effort. You take on a role of all aspects almost of it, rather than just being like, I'm a scriptwriter and I've written the script, or I'm a director and I've directed it. So yes.
And Adam, when I googled Adam Collier Britain Theatre, I did come up to your what was the page? Your spotlight page, where in one of your like extra skills, it said you knew how to juggle.
I do know how to juggle, yeah.
How did you learn how to juggle and why?
Well, I went to nobody has ever asked me that. I went to drama school. I went to a school called Bristol Vic Kids School, and you just get the option to learn multiple skills. And that was I think it was actually our combat teacher when we were doing stage combat, gave us the option to learn. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to learn a new skill. So I can juggle. I can do kind of quite basic stuff like 3 balls or some plate. I can do plates and stuff as well. But I can't do like 5 things and do lots of tricks. So it's like the basic. I was trying to see if there's anything I could juggle with, but I don't think there is.
Do you ever just like break it out at parties?
Mainly if I'm looking at because I'm looking after my nephews today, and mainly for kids, because I feel like at parties with adults, they just look at you like, they just feel sorry for you. Is that really the party trick? Whereas kids
With
are like,
plates?
wow, it's so cool.
If you've had alcohol and then juggling, does it work as well?
Do you know what? I probably think it does, but I think it's one of those things.
We'll try it next New Year.
It's worse. All right, next New Year. Yeah, next New Year we'll have a big. My parent, we tend to have big New Year's parties down in Devon, and Grace came to one. It was this year, wasn't it? Just gone.
Yeah.
Oh, who knew this year?
The Roaring '20s.
Yeah, so we'll say, although I don't think we're going to do it this year. I think it's going to be a quiet one for obvious reasons, but yeah.
Well, I could say if I was drunk enough and I saw like a grown adult juggling, I think it was pretty cool.
Would you?
I would, yeah.
Maybe I need to do it more often. Maybe we should do it. Okay, maybe we'll have an interlude, Grace. You can just sing.
Oh my god, yeah, the juggling interlude.
I'll maybe just juggle guitar pedals or something.
I wonder if Richie can juggle.
Her skills have increased massively on Brenham Academy in terms of like combat and stuff. Like I know that.
I reckon she can juggle.
Yeah, I didn't know she was in so many. I asked her before. I was like, "Do you have any badass fight scenes?" And she was like, "Might do." And then you see it, and she's like, "I like, dude, that's so cool."
Yeah, I didn't know she could do that.
Yeah. So it wouldn't surprise me if she could do that, because it wouldn't surprise me.
I wanna, speaking kind of Ritchie's acting and you all having your own kind of industries outside of music that you're a part of, what's kind of the difference now that you're breaking into the music industry in terms of like industry norms? Like, how does it differ from what you're used to, and like, what would you want to see change?
I suppose
You want to go?
actually there's quite a lot that I found coming from a creative background and coming from a slightly different creative career, that actually is very linked to music. And like, I think the way that we work in terms of collaboration is kind of quite similar. I think that actually in terms of the skills and stuff that I've learned before, a lot of that goes through to the work that we do with Kin. So like the music videos, for instance, like we do all ourselves, and a lot of the creative side of stuff actually has really stemmed and kind of come hand in hand from what we've learned and done before. And I think actually the kind of, I suppose at the moment it's a bit of a weird time that the problems that kind of are happening in the creative fields are sort of universal. So like with, the closure of venues and all of that sort of stuff, and the way that people aren't able to necessarily put their work out there in the same way. I suppose with music, I found actually it has been a bit of an there is kind of this output that we can have in a way that maybe theatre can't, because if you've not got a space or a venue, theatre so relies on you being in front of an audience, whereas music, obviously you need to play gigs, and I know that a lot of money can come from that and from the touring side and that kind of, but also there is also obviously the way to stream. I mean, I know that people are moving on to broadcasting theatre shows, but it's really not the same. Whereas actually I feel like you can kind of keep going at the moment with music in a way that maybe you can't with theatre, because you can, if, like us, we were really lucky that we went into the studio in January, which meant we had this I suppose, product. We had this thing that was ready to go this year. And that's meant that we've been able to focus all our energy and still be able to put it out there. Whereas I know a lot of people in theatre who've like had a show that they've been working on for months and then it's been cancelled and that's it. And they have no way apart from maybe doing an online stream, which is not the same. But I suppose there are definitely crossovers of the industry. And I think both of them have, you know, their positive sides and also their flaws, like in terms of, I suppose we're great advocates of getting women noticed and getting more women in the industry. And I think that at both levels in theatre and in music is something that definitely also crosses over. It's that like the higher level, there's a lot of space that is not filled by women and there definitely needs to be questions asked. And that's the same in theatre as it is for music. So actually, yeah, quite similar. And I think that they're both very helpful to have kind of, I suppose I've found anyway, for myself kind of now transitioning more into this industry. Actually, a lot of things maybe haven't necessarily taken me as, you know, by surprise, or the organisation that goes into stuff and the time that goes into stuff I've already been kind of aware of. So,
yeah, I completely agree with all of that, really. And I think it's just, I think one of the things is the same thing with axial music is also it is an industry, and I think that you do have to take it as a kind of the band is like almost like a little business, but it's also keeping it like, okay, we need to still find time to be creative and do it on our terms. And I think that has been one of the great things with music, though, is that the three of us can just get together when we're in London and just make music. Whereas often with plays and theatre, sometimes you need people to kind of give you permission to do it. I certainly find that with acting is that you need to be cast in a role, or you know, somebody's written a play, but with music we feel very sort of creatively in control of that, and that's really exciting. But I totally echo the stuff about women in the industry. And diversity is definitely key across both of them. And we still have a really long way to go, like with that. And I think that when there was a band, I was in a band previously before I did this, and there was, you know, I've said this a few times, but there was so many nights when it was just like all male bills, you know, and you just think this is really not okay. And it also is very noticeable in the demographic of the people that then come to those live gigs, because if you don't see yourself represented on stage, it's unlikely you're going to feel comfortable in that space. Whereas if you see yourself kind of represented, suddenly it opens it up for it being a safe environment for everybody. So I think that that's something we try to take into account, especially when we're organising bills, when we're organising the other bands.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna end on some quick fire questions.
Okay.
Very, very low pressure. First,
it's a good job Richie's not here because she gets scared by quick fire.
No, we want pressure. I want pressure.
Let me first gauge, do you guys watch a lot of like British reality TV?
What sort of thing? I mean, I have watched bits.
Okay, well then I'll start with this one then. Okay, so Fuck, Marry, Kill, The Great British Baking Show, Love Island, or The Geordie Shore?
I mean, okay. I would. I can't. I know some Geordie people and I really love them, but I think that would probably die.
Geordie Shore.
Geordie Shore.
Yeah.
Geordie people. Geordie Shore.
But that's not.
And then
people love
I think,
that show, you know.
I think Love Island would have to be the shag because, as much as like I think all of those people on that show would genuinely be really bad shags. Like I think they think that they were great, but I don't.
You'd feel like definitely.
But I love Bake Off so much that I would have to marry Bake Off.
We were just messing. We've both started watching the new series of Bake Off, and we were messaging about it the other day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so needed right now. Like that show is it's so wholesome.
It's so wholesome.
Yeah.
But it's also a little bit cheeky, like the presenters they choose. So it's like you'd be a great marriage, could be really wholesome, but then you'd also be having like, you know, kind of like great sex at the same time, which is kind of what you want. So it's like really wholesome and friendly.
I mean, any marriage with loads of cake, I think, is
a good marriage.
Perfect. Okay.
I do agree on that.
Would you do the same? Would you kill Geordie Shore?
I would.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I love the way you said that, Grace. You're like, Geordie Shore would have to die. They'd have to go.
It wouldn't be missed. I'm sorry. It just wouldn't be.
I have been watching a large amount of Love Island over quarantine.
Yeah.
My
Kind
mom
of
and I.
addictive.
It's so good. We have to have the subtitles on, and we have to Google some of the slang that they say. Because there's
Which series is it? Is it
Um,
is it the one happening at the moment?
no, whatever's on Hulu right now. I think we're on season 3.
I'm trying to think. Because I watched, there was one last year, it was the first season I'd watched, and I watched it all the way through, and it was, I was kind of hate watching it at the end though. I was watching like, I don't want to watch this, but I want to know who's going to come up. Like I need to finish it.
It's mental.
But it is addictive. I love that that's travelled over there, and I love that you have to have subtitles.
I love the subtitles. I love that too.
It's not even just a matter of not being able to understand, but everyone just talks so fast.
Mm-hmm.
And in my defense, I do have subtitles on for everything, but especially Love Island.
Okay, fair.
Okay, next one. Fuck, marry, kill the Beatles, One Direction, or the Arctic Monkeys.
Oh man.
Okay, I would marry Arctic Monkeys because like they're from Sheffield where I'm from, so like my allegiance has to be with them. Also, they are the only one out of the 3 that I actually really listen to. Like, I'm not a massive Beatles fan, which I have to
use that as the tag for this.
I'm from England. And, like, I was at Abbey Road the other day, and I was like, "Yeah, it should be really exciting." I'm like, cool, like this is iconic. But like, Beatles. I lived in Liverpool for a year as well, and like, it's like, yeah, the Beatles. I don't know, but I think I would probably. Who would be a better shag though? This is the thing. I mean, I don't.
All of One Direction, like, because like Harry Styles is great. I do
like Harry Styles, but I think, they probably would have to. They would have to die as well because.
As well.
I feel like.
You can't kill 2 people, Grace.
Before my time.
Why do you want to kill both of them? You can't kill both of them.
Okay, I'll shag the Beatles because they changed the way that pop music is for us today. So, yeah.
Shag them out of respect.
Oh, respect. I respect shag. Yeah.
If it's any consolation, I'd kill them too, the Beatles.
Would you kill the Beatles?
I would.
What would you choose? What would be your
I think I would marry One Direction, and I can say that with my chest. I would probably fuck the Arctic Monkeys because have you heard 505?
Yeah.
How could you not? And then I would kill the Beatles just strictly to piss off men everywhere.
That's true. Yeah. What about you, Adam?
I was going to say marry the Beatles only because you could just be like, married to the Beatles, mate. Like, it'd be great. But you make a good point. So
you pick what you want to pick. Don't let judge you.
I'm going to marry One Direction just because I want to hang out with Harry mainly.
Okay.
And then I'm going to sleep with Arctic Monkeys.
So you're killing the Beatles.
Yeah, I'm going to kill the Beatles as well, yeah.
Good. What is your favorite candle scent?
Ooh, I do have candles, but I tend to, I like kind of woody. I'm trying to think. I've got one over here, which I think is neroli, but anything kind of musky, like sandalwoody, white musk, that sort of thing, I think.
Ooh, I wouldn't have called that actually. I quite like linen, like white linen, like fresh linen. Or I love lavender as well. I think lavender's great, but that's more of a kind of like nighttime sleepy. But it's tricky because artificial lavender is horrible. But if you get something that's quite natural,
natural.
But subtle, quite subtle.
Okay, and last one. Let's do. Okay, you can pick which one you want to answer. I have weirdest quarantine habit that you picked up, or what album would you do anything to listen to again for the first time?
Both of those are hard questions. Which
we
one?
can answer both. Well, let's answer both if you're up for that.
Sure.
Sorry, just you said they're both hard questions.
I don't know. Quarantine habits. Should we start with that one?
I would say drinking, but I was drinking before. But you just go, well, it's 5 o'clock, let's go. So maybe that, or I did go through board games. Actually, I've been playing board games, which there's some really great companies out there. I played this game called Takenoko, and it's got like little pandas and little bits of bamboo, and you've got to build bamboo. It's just like a very tactile, very pleasing, it's very visually pleasing as a game, and it's quite quick. You can play like 40 minutes, done.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that board games.
Quarantine habits. Both of mine that I've just thought of make me sound like I'm such a boring old person, and I've just complained about how I feel old.
Can I guess one of them? Is it knitting?
No, knitting is not. It's not a habit, is it? Really, that's more like a hobby.
Yeah.
But that isn't one. So habits. Doing a weekly shop. Because I never used to do a weekly shop because my schedule was so all over the place that now I actually have time to like every week plan my meals and go and do a big shop, which is really horrendously boring. Second, I'm in I can so easily stay up to like 3 a.m.
Yeah, same.
At the beginning of lockdown, I definitely had so much energy that I didn't have to put anywhere because I didn't leave the house. So I would go to bed really late. But now my new habit is going to bed early at like, I don't know, 10:30 because I have nothing to do. Like, I've got nothing to do. I'm just going to go to bed.
I've achieved everything I wanted to achieve today. Good night.
Yeah.
So your quarantine habits are just a more stable lifestyle.
Basically, a weekly shop and going to bed at a normal time. It's basically.
Look around, man. I also hoovering is another one of mine. We got just before lockdown got a wireless hoover, and it's a game changer because you just pick it up.
That's how you know you're old.
You just go, and it's great.
Getting excited by a hoover.
Hey, at least I've got very clean floors. So say what you want, but what was the other one? What was the other question? I forgot.
An album that you would do anything to listen to again for the first time.
That's a good question. I mean, this is perhaps maybe an obvious-ish one. So probably Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd. Just because I just when I heard that record, I was maybe like 13, and I'd been listening to a lot of pop like Queen and Michael Jackson and stuff like that, and then it was the first record that was just kind of expanded my mind on like what music could be, and songs like Great Gig in the Sky, it just like blew my 13-year-old mind that somebody had created this song which just doesn't fit any kind of format or like anything I'd heard before. So that would be a pretty special one. Or something like, I mean, maybe like one of Kings of Leon's, maybe their second album is amazing. So something like that again for the first time.
No, I think I would pick something that's quite like cinematic and atmospheric, like a Niels Fram album. I don't know which one because I remember when All Melody came out, and I like it blew my mind a bit, and like I'm a massive fan. And I think like, or even like he's got one of my favorite albums ever is called Trans Friends, which he does with Olaf Arnolds, and it's just like a piano works album. But there's something about that sort of like cinematic music that really like hits me right in the chest, and I think like it still does that to this day, but probably not as much as the first time. And I turn all the lights off and I put like big headphones on and like listen to it that way. I think that would just be, it would be like a special kind of cleansing moment for me. But there's so many. I'd love to go back and listen to all my favorite albums for the first time again. But I think that's what makes a really great album, is an album that which stands the test of time. So even after you've had it out for 5 years, you can still go back and listen to it and be like,
yeah,
I remember why I loved this as much as I did the first, and then my heart still speaks to you in that same way. So yeah,
Yeah, no, we connected over lots of that stuff, like Neil's Fram and stuff. That was a big point of us. The first stuff that we started talking about, kind of creating soundscapes and atmosphere, and I think that is definitely something I would like to do more. Is work on that, kind of creating an atmosphere and a vibe, and but making it accessible. Yeah, maybe we'll just do a really experimental album. No.
I'm all for it. Like,
Cool.
We can mix it up. Maybe that's album 3.
3.
we've got to release album 1 first. So
Yeah, we'll get there.
Baby steps.
Yeah.
Well, I'll see you
Thank
guys.
you so much.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.